sure you have a good video. Okay.
All right, I'm live. Morgan's here. Let me try to adjust this light real quick. Quincy, go downstairs, baby. Oh. All right. A little bit better. There we go. All right. We're here. We're live. If you jump on the video live, please comment down below and let me know if you can hear me all right. This is a pretty good microphone. Pretty reliable, but there have been times that it hasn't been connected to the live video. So please let me know if possible. Comment down below in the chat where you're watching the video from. I always love seeing where you guys are watching from. And if you're on the replay, please do the same thing. Today's video is going to be about something fairly frustrating in our fitness journey, which is plateaus, specifically when it comes to fat loss, losing weight. I'm going to go over how and why they happen and what to do, essentially what to do about it. Keep it very, very simple. How and why they happen and what to do about it when it comes to a plateau. All right. And just so you know, it is very normal to experience this. And I'm going to go over what a plateau really is, because some people, and a lot of people, just because they don't have the proper expectations and guidance, a lot of people don't lose weight for a week and they think that's a plateau. That's not a plateau, my friend. If you don't lose weight for a week or even 2 weeks, that's not a plateau. In my mind, your weight has to be essentially the same or going up for 3 or 4 weeks in a row before you can even consider saying the word plateau out loud. Because we're not going to lose weight every week. There's going to be factors, even if you're doing everything right, we're not going to lose weight every week. And there's a million other factors that play into if we're going to lose weight or not. Like, of course, you're not going to expect to lose weight on a vacation week. So if you were losing weight and then you go on vacation, you didn't lose weight that week, are you in a plateau? No, of course not. You weren't consistent because you were on vacation, right? Even if you chose healthy foods at your vacation, you're not likely going to lose weight because you're eating every meal out, even if it's healthy, and you're having more sodium than usual. That's one example. Another example is you sleep like absolute shit one week. You barely get any sleep. You're super stressed out, more than usual. That's going to factor in, believe it or not, that factors into scale weight sometimes. Sometimes we hold on to some extra water weight when we're extra stressed. And when we don't sleep well, it affects our fluctuations on the scale. So that doesn't mean you're in a plateau, that you can't lose more fat. It means that the scale is sort of playing some games with you as far as what you had going on that week with sleep and with stress. Right? So there are factors that play into this stuff, and you have to kind of gauge, are there factors that are influencing my fluctuations on the scale? Or am I doing everything right as normal and still not losing weight? Okay, but that's the general idea of if you're actually in a plateau is 3 or 4 weeks at least of your weekly average weight not trending down. So for this, you really, if you're weighing in once a week and saying you're in a plateau, this is going to be really mean, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You have no clue what you're doing. You have no clue what you are even doing. That's so mean to say. But do you want me to like be kind of mean and tell you the truth, or do you want me to just like beat around the bush and make you feel good, right? Like it doesn't matter as long as you're seeing results. Like you want to hear the things that are going to actually help you see results. So if you're weighing in once a week, you're not allowed to say the word plateau because you're not even tracking your progress properly. You're at the very beginner level. You are a total newbie. You don't know nothing about this stuff if you're weighing in once a week. Okay, that is I'm being a little bit mean today, right? What you need to do is start weighing in every day and tracking your weight daily so that what you can then do is see what the weekly average weight is. This is, a more intermediate or advanced way to track your weight. Your weight is going to fluctuate every day. Every single day, it's going to be a different number. It's going to go up a couple pounds, down a pound, up zero point 0.2 pounds. So you have to actually track it to the decimal point and then get the weekly average weight and compare that to the previous week's average. And now what you can see is for a fact, are you trending down even by a couple decimal points? If you're trending down, you're actually losing weight. You're not in a plateau, you're actually losing weight. Almost never, right? I've coached hundreds of people over the years. Almost never, maybe once this has happened, where a client literally to the 10th of a decimal point, their weekly average weight is the same as it was the previous week. I'm talking about like 198.2 is the weekly average for this week, and 198.2 is the weekly average for last week. It essentially never happens. It's like a 1 in a 1,000 chance that that happens. So what that means is it's almost never the same. What that means is you're either trending down and still losing weight, even if it's by a tenth of a decimal or 2/10ths of a decimal, or you're trending up and you're actually gaining weight that week. So you can tell by tracking your weight properly and at a higher level for a fact, are you still losing weight or are you trending up? So this is what I mean. This is the first step of understanding a plateau properly. Are you trending up for 3 or 4 weeks in a row? That's a plateau. Or that's, you're going in the wrong direction. Okay? So, but if it's just 1 week or even 2 weeks, that's not really a plateau. That's usually there are some circumstances going on in the last couple weeks that have made it hard to be consistent. So, let's get back on track type of thing. Now, let me go over a plateau like realistically why it happens. This is what most people think, and comment down below if you've felt like this before. I have. I think we've all probably felt like this, but let me know if you've felt it as well. Which is you feel like your body has adapted to the level of the amount of food you're eating and the amount of exercise you're doing. That's kind of like what we're taught is they call it metabolic adaptation, which there is some validity to, which essentially means your body gets used to and adapts to the amount of food that you have coming in and the amount of exercise you're doing. And there's some truth to that. But again, this is going off of just my experience and my sample size. When you work with like many hundreds of people and you coach many hundreds of people, you see what's actually going on. You see what most people are dealing with, right? I'm not talking about a sample size of 10 clients here. Like, oh, this one client here did this or did that or was feeling this way. No, like over 500 people. I've seen their weight every day. I've seen their food log every day. I've seen whether they've been losing weight or not. I've understood what's going on in their life. It's over 10 years of doing this stuff, right? So most of the time, if someone's losing weight and then they stop losing weight despite wanting to lose more. This is what's going on. Let me try to explain this as best I can. At the beginning, you're unhappy with how you look, you are overweight, and you are starting a program or a diet or working with a coach like me because you want to improve that. You want to lose weight and get in better shape and feel happier with how you look and how you feel and improve your health. So you do that, and the client I'm working with does that, and they lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds. Things are going well, and they're on a program. They're following an actual plan. They are doing some things better than they were doing previously that made them fatter, right? That made them more overweight. So maybe they're not going out to eat as much and they're trying to make more of their own meals. Maybe they're tracking their food and really being diligent about tracking everything they eat. Maybe they're doing a little bit more exercise than they were before, or they're doing the same exercise but they're on a proper program now that actually makes sense and that is structured. So there's this fine tuning going on with their program and what they're doing and how they're executing because they're unhappy with how they look and their weight and their body. Now, a few months go by and they're down 10 pounds, 15 pounds, maybe 20 pounds. And at this point, they're happier with how they look. Things are going good. They're on the right path. Um, they're fitting better in their clothes, or their clothes are starting to get looser. It's a really big mental victory that they lost 15 pounds or 20 pounds. Like, it's a really big confidence booster. They're doing things right. They are winning, right? Maybe they're way happier with how they look now in the mirror and in their clothes. So it's a lot less urgent now to continue doing all those little things that they were doing that got them there. And what happens is, and you don't realize this, 99% of people don't realize this, but the coach who has a second set of eyes on everything you're doing can see this, and I can bring it up to you guys or bring it up to the client and make them aware of it if they want to lose more weight. If they don't want to lose more weight, that's fine. But what happens is, as they're getting happier and happier with how they look and feel, they're getting healthier, they're getting more fit. It's less urgent that they need to lose more and more weight. It's less urgent because they are in a better place. So what happens is they gradually start cutting some corners with these things they've been doing. They gradually start going out to eat more, right? Maybe at the beginning you were only going out to eat once or twice a week because it was really important to you to lose weight. Now it's okay. Order a third time, order a fourth time, right? Going out to eat, you know, an extra couple times or twice as much as before. That alone, quite honestly, is usually the difference between losing weight and not losing weight. But often people are doing more things. They are tracking their food up until dinner, and then they don't track dinner sometimes, and they don't track what they eat after dinner. So they're tracking their food. They can say, I track my food. I'm good with my nutrition. I track my food." But they're not doing it as diligently as they were to lose the 20 pounds. And they're not, they're leaving things out. They're leaving snacks out. Maybe they're not tracking whatever they eat after dinner. So again, that is a big difference. That's the difference between losing weight and not losing weight. Or maybe they are adding in more alcohol, being more flexible with drinking calories. At the beginning, again, they were super unhappy with how they looked. They weren't proud of how they looked. They felt like shit. They were overweight. Maybe the doctor told them they had to lose weight. Maybe someone, a family member or something, made a comment that they're getting fat, right? They were really motivated. They were really not happy with their position physically. And now they're happier. So before they were, they made these hard rules. I'm going to go out to eat once a week or twice a week. I'm not going to drink alcohol for 30 days or 60 days. I'm not going to drink alcohol. These are the things that led to seeing results. These are the things that led to losing the weight. But now it's like, all right, we'll have a drink a couple times a night, a couple times a week. Or, we'll start drinking on the weekends again. Or, let's have a glass or two of wine with dinner each night. Yeah, you're not going to lose weight anymore. If you go from doing all these things really damn well, and now you're going out to eat twice as much, and now you're not tracking your dinners or your snacks after dinner, and now you're having liquid calorie, an extra 300 to 500 calories a day of liquid on top of your food. You don't realize you're doing this. You think you're still doing everything the same, and you're wondering, I've hit a plateau. What worked for me before isn't working anymore. That's you not having a bird's eye view. That's you not realizing that you're starting to cut corners with some of these things, and that you're still doing most of the same stuff, but you're not doing it as consistently. You're not doing it as well. Maybe you're not using a food scale anymore. At the beginning, you were using a food scale to weigh out your foods, and therefore you were tracking way more accurately. And you're not using the food scale anymore. You're just eyeballing now. There's nothing wrong with doing these things and cutting corners like this, and having more flexibility in your nutrition. But just know that all these things matter, and that's why you feel like you've hit a plateau. 99% of the time, this is what happens. Like I said, a sample size of 500 to maybe even up to 1,000 people over the last 12 years coaching people. This is what happens 99% of the time. Okay? And it's no fault of your own. It happens to me too. It happens to every individual, no matter how advanced you are. And that's why it's helpful to have a coach with a second set of eyes on everything you're doing to catch these things that are, quite honestly, they're blind to you. You don't know, you're not aware that you're doing some of these things or that they're making that big of a difference, right? If you don't track, if you have a bowl of strawberries with whipped cream at night and you don't track it, that's not going to decide whether you lose weight or not, because that bowl of strawberries with whipped cream is like 100 calories. But if every night you're sitting in on the couch watching TV, eating a couple handfuls of chips out of a family-sized bag of chips, you might have had 4 servings of chips mindlessly without realizing it, and you didn't track it because you think it's only a few handfuls. That's a food where the calories add up quick. You could have had 7 bowls of strawberries for the same calories as a few handfuls out of a family-sized bag of chips. So it's our job as the coach to find these habits and find these things that you may be doing that will determine whether you're losing weight or not. So let me know if that makes sense in the comments if you're watching live or the replay. It's not what you want to hear, that you're doing things that are you're unaware of, or you're falling back into old habits, or you're becoming more lenient and more flexible. Let me know if that makes sense. It's not what you want to hear, but if I just told you what you wanted to hear, which is it's metabolic adaptation. Your body got used to it. You have to just reduce calories more and exercise more. If I just told you what you wanted to hear to sell you my coaching, that wouldn't actually help you, right? What I could do with my actual clients is if I see this happening, I could say, "Okay, let's reduce your calories," which I used to do more of in the past. I used to say, "Oh, you haven't seen the weight come down in 3 weeks. Let's reduce your calories." But if I know that person is already aiming for an amount of food that should be a deficit for them, the problem isn't the numbers. The problem is that they're not actually eating that amount of food. And if I can get them to be more consistent and to eat that amount of food again and unknowingly eat more, they'll lose weight. So that's kind of the approach I take with my clients, is helping you learn along the way why things are happening, why you're doing certain things, why you're eating a certain way. And This is what happens 99% of the time when people are doing really well initially, losing some initial weight, and then they hit a plateau where they don't lose weight for a while, a month, a couple months, right? It's because they don't realize that they've become more lenient on these daily habits and nutrition related things. And again, if you're fine at the weight you're at and you're fine with maintaining, there's nothing wrong with that. You can be as lenient and as flexible as you want to be. And there's certainly phases where that's the goal is be flexible, have more balance, have more leniency. Just don't expect that you're going to lose weight too. And then there's a phase that's like meant to lose weight. Like if you're trying to lose more weight, if you really genuinely want to and seriously want to lose more weight, this is what you have to do now. You have to go back to the basics of what got you to lose the weight initially, which for people who work with me and clients of mine is tracking your food really closely. Go back to tracking everything you eat in a day. Don't leave out the chips while you're watching TV. Don't leave that out. You have to count that. Don't leave out dinner. You have to track everything in the day that you eat. And that way we can see truly how much are you actually eating. Oh, see, actually, you're eating more like 2,700 calories when we include the oil that you use, when we include the butter that you put on your vegetables, when we include the few handfuls of nuts throughout the day. Dude, you ate 700 calories of nuts today. With three handfuls of nuts, you ate 700 calories of nuts that you didn't track. Are you surprised that you're not losing weight? Right? These things matter. And the good news is this particular habit of, all right, go back to tracking everything you eat isn't like a lot more work on your part. Isn't like, it's not like I'm asking you to go do an hour of cardio today. Tracking everything you eat, it's going to take you 10 minutes in the day. So that's the good news, right? Go back to making a hard rule about how many times you're going to eat out. If you're not losing weight right now and you want to be, don't be eating out 4 times a week, 5 times, 6 times a week. Can you lose weight eating out that much? Sure, yes, you can. But I'm not going to lie, it's going to be way harder. You're going to have to get way more things right. Like if you lose weight going out to eat 4, 5, 6 times a week, it will be in spite of going out to eat that much, not because of it. It's an obstacle. It's something that makes it harder. So make a hard rule then. You're going to go out to eat once or twice a week. Make a hard rule with alcohol if you're someone who drinks. If you're someone who drinks a lot, make no mistake about it, that might just be the biggest obstacle in you losing weight or not. How much do you want to lose weight? Are you willing to like drink a little bit less? Some people aren't. Some people aren't willing to drink less in order to lose weight. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, who am I to tell you what you should be doing with your fitness goals? Again, this video, it's for somebody who wants to lose more weight. If it's really important to you to lose more weight, usually it has to be more important to you than drinking alcohol. I'm not saying you can't drink. I'm saying consider drinking less. If you drink every night right now, if you have one drink a night of wine or something, or 2 drinks of wine, can you cut in half how much you drink alcohol? That's like a reasonable ask, right? As your coach, as somebody who cares about you doing well and cares about your health and your fitness, I'm uh, it's in my best interest to give you a plan that gives you a good lifestyle, that leads to a lifestyle and balance that you enjoy, that you feel is sustainable. So it my point in saying that is my first step would be if you're drinking frequently right now or daily or multiple times a week, instead of saying, "Hey, you can't drink alcohol at all," it's clearly important to you to some degree. So why don't we cut in half how much you're drinking? Whether that's instead of drinking 5 times a week, drink 3 times a week. That will make a difference for your weight loss. We're talking about several hundred calories less that you'll be consuming. Or another way to do it is drink your 5 damn nights a week if you really need to, but drink half the amount. If you drink 2 drinks every night, have 1 drink now, right? So go back to these hard rules of like you can't do everything you want to do. You can't have everything and also build the physique and the health that you want. There's going to be some small level of sacrifice around the things that matter. Drinking calories, going out to eat, knowing how much you're eating. Um, so those like and start using a food scale again more, right? Like that's the first thing that I do. I'm not somebody who drinks a lot. I drink literally on one hand a couple times a year, like maybe when we go on vacation or something. I will say this though, I've never heard of anybody who's like a big drinker, drank every day, drank multiple times a week, who like just stopped drinking altogether and hated it. I've never heard of that. It seems like people who stop drinking so frequently are like, "Oh my god, my life's so much better. Everything about my life is better." Uh, Prove me wrong. It's like you can't have fun without drinks, or you can't have a good time with friends, or you can't enjoy the evening unless you're drinking, right? There's been I've never heard of somebody who's cut out alcohol and said, "Oh, life sucks now. I don't drink." No, it's the opposite. They say their life is so much better. Anyway, so these are the things that if you're in a plateau, if you're in a period where you lost weight before and now you've went a month, 2 months, 3 months without losing weight again, it's not because you've got some crazy loophole going on with your hormones or with your metabolism. If you think that's the case, don't be here watching YouTube. Go to the damn doctor. Right? Like if you think there's a crazy loophole or a crazy uh malfunction with your metabolism or with your body or your hormones, don't be going on Instagram and YouTube. Go to the damn doctor and get tests done, get blood work done. And what you're going to find 99% of the time is they're going to tell you, no, you're fine. And then you have to come back to my YouTube video and watch this and be like, oh, okay, I'm actually eating more than I think. That's what happens, right? And if by chance you go to the doctor and you get your blood work done and they say, "Oh yeah, no, you got you're messed up." They can give you treatment. They can help you if you have some crazy shit going on with your metabolism or your hormones or something like that. They can then help you with treatment. So it's a win-win either way. But speaking to the vast majority of people, the 99%, you are slipping back into habits or slightly cutting corners that you don't realize you're doing that are totally blind to you. Eating a little bit more than you think, going out to eat more, not using a food scale as much anymore. You're eyeballing peanut butter, you're not weighing it out on a food scale. You're eating 3 servings of peanut butter and tracking it as 1 serving. You're not tracking snacks and handfuls and bites throughout the day. You're drinking more alcohol now than you were before. Are any of these things possibly true? Are any of these things resonating? Could it be possible that any of these points that I'm touching upon, are you doing one of them out of the 5 that I mentioned? Or are you using a food scale for everything that you're eating? Are you only going out to eat once or twice a week, or are you going out more? Are you drinking more alcohol than you were before, or are you still not drinking too much? Right? Like, could any of these things, any one of them potentially apply to you that will be enough to take you from losing weight to no longer losing weight? And that's the good news. And by the way, there's more things that you might be blind to. I'm naming the most common. So I'm naming the 4 or 5 most common ways that you might be cutting some corners in your program, specifically nutrition, that usually are what lead to being in a plateau instead of losing weight despite aiming for the same calories and doing the same amount of exercise. There might be some other things that you're doing, but those are the big ones. And again, it's usually because you're in a better place now. You're 15 pounds lighter, you're 20 pounds lighter, you're better off. It's not as urgent to lose more weight. And that's a good thing. You're better off than you were before. Take that as a win, right? Now, where we're at now, if you want to lose more weight, you're going to have to tighten this shit up. You're going to have to tighten this up a little bit, dial it in a little bit. You don't have to be perfect with it. I'm not saying you have to do all these things better. Pick one or two of the things I mentioned that you think you might be doing. Maybe for you, it's the going out to eat. Maybe you're going out to eat 3 or 4 times a week or ordering DoorDash 3, 4, 5 times a week. And before, a few months ago, you were only doing it once or twice a week. Pick that as the thing you're going to do better at. Pick one or two of these things. And pretty much always becoming aware of this stuff, seeing where you might be cutting some corners, seeing where you might be a lot more lenient and flexible is enough to get you back on the right track. And this is why I've had dozens of instances where someone loses weight, this exact thing happens, they hit a plateau and they're no longer losing weight for a month or 2 months or 3 months. I give them this talk, or I look at their food log and I call out the exact things that I think they're doing. And I challenge them, hey, just for a week, could you start using the food scale for everything? Or hey, just for this week, could you just make sure that you track everything you eat? Don't have snacks and tell me you didn't track it. Like, just track everything. I don't care if you're eating bad or not. Just track everything you eat for a week. And shocker, every time they lose weight, every time they go back to losing weight, despite aiming for the same exact amount of calories that they were just eating before and not losing weight. And that's because they were being more consistent with it. I challenged them to track everything they ate this week when they hadn't been tracking everything they were eating. So they were just more true with how much their calorie tracking was, how accurate it was. Or I challenged them like, hey, for 2 weeks, dude, just go out to eat once a week. Make your own lunch the other days, like just for 2 weeks. See what happens. Don't go out to eat every day for lunch. Shocker, they lose weight that week. They lose weight the next week. They're back to losing weight consistently. This happens all the time. This is very, very common. Every week I deal with stuff like this, and it's my job to help people through these things, to help locate what might be causing this stuff. And now I'm here on YouTube telling you the same thing. All right? So let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if any of that resonates with you. And to kind of give you the most important points here, if you are someone who has lost some weight and are in this plateau for a few months now where you haven't lost any more weight, but you still want to, look to these few things I'm mentioning first. The first thing you should do is start tracking everything you eat again. Be honest with yourself. If you're drinking every night, track that. You got to track that glass of wine. If you're having snacks, you have to track snacks. You have to track oils and butter. Just track everything. Just see. Like, people often don't track it because they don't want to see how much it really is. Oh shit, I'm actually eating 3,000 calories. At least you know now, right? Track everything. Do it for a week or two and see where you're at. See how much you're actually eating. This second step or level would be to use a food scale for stuff. If you're eating peanut butter every day, and not using a food scale, you're not going to lose weight, dude. If you're eating the highest calorie foods and you're not using a food scale to see how much of it you're eating, I'm never betting money that you're going to lose weight. I'd bet money that you'd gain weight. we we're eating the highest calorie foods like peanut butter and nuts and desserts and chips and not weighing it out on a food scale to make sure we're eating one serving of it or two servings of it. Yeah, if you're eyeballing the highest calorie foods, it's going to be tough to lose weight. So start using a food scale for everything you eat, no matter what it is, just for a week. I'm not saying forever. Do it for a week. If it works, do it a second week. Look at how many times you're eating out. Can you eat out less? Can you prepare your own meals? Can you do some meal prep? If you like aren't willing to put in that effort, by the way, like me, I'm often not willing to spend time meal prepping. That's okay. There are these things called meal prep services that exist now. You can pay a company money, which by the way, less money than ordering food out. Meal prep services are not expensive anymore. You ordering fast food is like 20 bucks. These meal prep services cook you healthy meals, not fast food. And they tell you the exact macros. They write the macros on the label so it makes tracking your food easier. And they ship the food to your door once a week. All you have to do is put it in the microwave for 2 minutes and you have a healthy meal that's meal prepped, not by you. You outsource the cooking to somebody who's willing to do it for like 10 bucks a meal and use a meal prep service. It makes meal prep like it takes that off your hands completely instead of going out to eat. If you're going out to eat all the time, use a meal prep service instead. You're spending more money going out to eat anyway. You can't even get Chipotle for less than 20 bucks anymore. I want to get a double chicken burrito bowl. It's 22 bucks. The hell's that about? I can get a meal from Nutre Meals for half that. For 12 bucks from Nutre Meals, I can get a meal with just as good macros. Man, I'm on a roll today. I'm on a roll. So hopefully this helps and hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Hopefully I'm articulating this decently enough. This is the truth. This is me pulling back the curtain about plateaus when it comes to weight loss. You've fallen into some habits that you're not aware of. You're unknowingly eating a little bit more than you think you are. You don't have some messed up metabolism. You don't have some crazy illness that's preventing you from losing weight. You're eating a little bit more than you think you are. And like I said before, if you think you've got some messed up hormones or metabolism, stop looking on social media to diagnose yourself. Go to the doctor. Okay. So, hope this was helpful. I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Feel free to set a reminder if you find these helpful. If you would like me to coach you through a proper fat loss phase or muscle building phase to get in the best possible shape you can to lose 15 or 20 pounds before Christmas, feel free to apply for my Modern Man program. You can go to modernmanprogram.com and apply and set up a call with me. Or if you're not about setting up a call and you just want to see the info and the details and see if it's for you, what you can do is email me info@rosefitnessny.com, or you can comment below this video and I will send over an info document or page for you to see what my Modern Man coaching is about, what it's like, see if it's for you, and you can make an honest decision on if you want to work together. All right. And I won't take you on. That's one thing about, being in the industry for a while is you're not just going to take people on because they're willing to pay money. Um, I really want to make sure that everyone I work with is a good fit and is going to see good results and is going to be a good match for the style of coaching that I do. That's why I always recommend you set up a call because we can dive into this stuff even better. And I can just honestly say, like, based on your habits and your preferences and what you're looking for, if it would be a good match for you or not. I don't want to take somebody on who, like, it's not going to be good for them. Like, it's not fun for me either. So, yeah. Hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Talk to you later.